I've been on the internet my entire life. Whether I like it or not, it's been a part of my daily routine for about 15 years now. Even though I can still remember growing up with the iPod, VHS tapes, on-demand, Blackberries, DVDs, hopes for the future, stuff like that, I also vividly remember sneaking into the computer room to listen to the Slim Shady LP by Eminem in elementary school, or watching Columbine documentaries in middle school, or powering down my entire computer because I almost got caught playing Happy Wheels or watching Tobuscus. Back then, the internet seemed like a positive escape from the real world, but now it kind of feels like the real world has become a positive escape from the internet. In 2014, I was practically begging my mom to let me have my own Instagram account, and now 10 years later I'm asking her to use the parental controls to block the thing I wanted so badly in 5th grade off of my phone completely. So what happened? I'm going to be talking with a few people about their opinions on the internet nowadays, and whether or not they feel like it's gone in a negative direction. Okay, cool. So how long have you been on the internet?
It's a good question. Probably like 10 plus years. Maybe even longer than that.
Since I was 9, so about 15 years, I'd say.
7 or 8 years old.
Probably since I was 4. PBS Kids was my jam.
6th grade, probably.
7 years old, 8 years old.
I want to say around 12 or 13 years old.
When I was 6 years old.
Around 2015, 2016 is when I started using it often.
Probably like 2nd grade, if I were to give it like a rough ballpark.
Probably since middle school.
Probably like about the time Club Penguin came out.
Since before I could read, so like 2005 probably.
And do you feel like it's gotten more negative over the years?
Most definitely.
In certain spaces, yes, I would say so.
Yeah, I definitely think it's gotten more negative.
I feel like yes and no.
It's a lot easier to access forms of negativity and like be able to introduce yourself to groups of people who like push that negativity online.
After the internet's become more commercial, I think things have become a little bit more centered around like negative attention, rage baiting recently.
We have horrible rates of cyberbullying in our age today, especially working with a lot of kids throughout many jobs I've had throughout the years. They have this like mentality of like they gotta crash out. It's so easy to like spread negativity in this world today just because how easy and accessible it is.
I feel like it's definitely become more normalized. It's not necessarily on like these chat rooms or like games and stuff. Like it's just like on like the front page of Instagram and stuff. Like it's just become more accepted, I guess.
You know, sometimes I think of like a show or something that I like, oh, that's a good show. And I go online and I'm just seeing like a bunch of people just slandering like, oh, I can't believe they made this show, like it's so horrible.
There's a lot more internet now than there used to be. I think there's a lot more positivity if you could quantify it on the internet, but I think like the ratio of negative to positive is just way more negative now than I think it ever has been.
Hot take, I don't think the internet has gotten more negative. People always think things are like sunshine and rainbows in the past, even if they weren't. I think also maybe like the times have gotten harder. There's a whole like uprising of wholesome memes like 5 years ago. Like Hope Corps, stuff like that.
I don't think that the internet itself is negative. I think it's the people. I feel like more and more people have gotten access to the internet. I feel like parents have started allowing their kids technology a lot younger. Even little kids themselves could be posting like not so good content on the internet. I feel like hate speech and like misinformation are spreading so widely and having such an influence on impressionable individuals.
If you're going into like the political side of the internet, there's definitely been some more negative connotations being brought up in that sphere. But then if you just go to like memes and stuff like that on the internet, that's been what it's been for years now. And I don't think that's really become more negative. There's definitely been an increase of people being able to say what they want to say without consequences. Now that people can hide behind their screens, hide behind a username, they don't even have to show their face. People can say whatever they want to say. And that's where it becomes dangerous.
Where do you see it the worst?
Definitely on like Twitter, Instagram, like people's comment sections, YouTube comment sections. Someone states their opinion on something, boom, negative comment to that person. Now they're attacking each other, going back and forth. So definitely on social media for sure.
Twitter becoming X and becoming more like right-wing centered. I think certain things have moved towards like a negative energy. I get the most random ads and advertisements that are seeming like they're trying to incite certain thoughts, especially in like 2016. A lot of people felt it was very manipulative or negative and things like that. So I imagine the trends kind of continued on that platform.
Twitter is brutal, man. And honestly, TikTok recently, people are brutal in TikTok comments too. If you get on like one side of TikTok,
Sometimes you think that's how the whole world is. And then you go outside and you're like, no, that's not how it is. That's just how this like niche group of people thinks about things. So
definitely social media. It's been normalized that, negative things are funny. A lot of people get the joke, a lot of people are in on it, but a majority of people aren't, which is why it's perceived as more negative. I don't think it's necessarily to hurt anybody, but I definitely think it's more negative overall in terms of how people treat each other and how people talk about each other. People are attacking people online just because of the convenience. We don't need a computer anymore. It's all right here in our pockets. I think a majority comes down to convenience.
You could definitely see it the worst on like social media and stuff. Like if you go on Twitter for a couple hours and you look at anything like super politically driven, you're gonna start seeing a lot of probably the worst stuff on the internet. There's other sites like, I don't know, something like 4chan and stuff that are basically just cesspools of a lot of people, and not all the time are they great people, or they're not all the time talking about stuff that's productive or even good.
There's so much hate speech going on all sorts of different topics. You see it like in the comments section, you see in the videos that people upload, how rude people can be, threatening they can be. It's just, social media is definitely where I see it the worst.
Like you would doom scroll on whatever, Instagram, TikTok, and you'd see all these people that are like up having a blast while you're just like struggling, trying to make something happen. I feel like that takes a toll. And I feel like as far as like dating goes, I feel like the internet definitely ruined that. Some of the crazy standards that people have, their expectations that they want whoever they encounter.
YouTube, Twitter, Reddit, I don't know. They seem to attract a lot of people who like to bring down others.
You go on places like Reddit and you get all the negativity from the places like 4chan or for like Andrew Tate and like those little bubbles, but then you get this way bigger film on that bubble of people getting mad about it too. And then they argue with each other, and then like there's whole industries that are just people getting mad about politics or getting mad about movies or whatever there is, somebody will find a way to monetize getting mad about it.
And do you feel like COVID and just the political climate over the last 10 years, do you feel like that's affected the internet?
People talk about politics more openly on the internet now, and it's more common. Everyone is always reading about it. Everyone sees it constantly. The socioeconomic state of America not being great now compared to 10 years ago has certainly changed the internet for sure.
A lot of people are a lot more opinionated. Certain things become a little bit more regulated. I think some people are concerned about like free speech, and I think certain like political events can kind of affect what you're allowed to say on social media.
I don't know if more is happening, but more is definitely being displayed in the media than ever before. It's not the norm to not know what's going on in politics, right? I'm not a very political person, but I still know what's happening up there. Maybe not exactly, but I still know who's against who and who's saying what. The fact that the media has been able to like portray politics in such a light on both sides, it's not an unbiased system they have. So in unbiased systems, that just generates hate on either side.
I was 15 when Trump got elected, so that was like right when I started paying attention to stuff. And I think since then, I think they've really refined the outrage politics, and I think they've really refined their media domination, and I think they do that through negativity. Couldn't do that 10 years ago, not the way that they do now.
I mean, stuff like Zoom right here. I never heard of Zoom before 2020. All of a sudden in 2020, I was using it every single day, multiple times a day.
I think over COVID, everyone was just bored out of their minds, or at least I know I was. And so a lot of people that weren't online before got online. Older people, I feel like, started using the internet more. A lot younger people started using the internet a lot more. People just became more comfortable on the internet, and when people are comfortable, they're not as afraid to say mean things.
COVID gave people nothing to do but to hate, honestly, and that's what people do when they're bored.
There was a lot of hate for Asian Americans around this time, a lot of hate speech on the internet. The videos that were surfacing of people actually physically attacking Asian Americans and uploading them, and then people encouraging it just because how scared everybody was at the time, but that was not the correct way to go about things in my opinion. So I definitely do feel like that time is when things got really, really negative.
Everyone was confined to their own space. No one had any ideal of social cues. I learned damn, maybe I should appreciate the outside world a little more, and I became more extroverted. So I know in my perspective and seeing other people's perspective too, they had the opposite of what I did. Everyone kind of forgot how to act right in a way. No one wants to be hard in person, and I feel like COVID really gave everyone the opportunity to kind of put on a mask in a way.
2020 doesn't even feel like that long ago, and it's already been like 5 years since like the whole quarantine thing happened. But I feel like the world, like for sure, definitely changed after the whole pandemic damaged a lot of people.
People kind of forgot what it means to like socially interact. Yeah, I think that's definitely impacted the way people treat each other in line and also in real life too.
That was a massive change for the internet. I feel like that was a major push on people being a bit more negative.
People are just saying crazy things and like accepting it. I think that was really like a crux. I think that was really a turning point where it's like you can say anything now and half the country will believe you. I'm a really big believer of life imitates art. So much of what people see on the internet is what they think the real world is, so then they act like that's the real world and then it becomes the real world. Because there's this sort of like alternate reality online that it gets in people's brains and then they act differently. And I do it too, right? We all do it, but I think it does happen.
It's definitely affected, I think, the culture. I've seen some statistics. There's a lot less people going on dates in person, and the numbers for people meeting their spouse in person versus online has kind of crisscrossed. It's kind of sad because, it seems like there's a lot of young men and young women out there who just aren't able to find someone to even just date.
And has it affected the way that you use the internet yourself?
I'm a little bit. I'm now a little more hesitant to like say my 2 cents. When I used to comment on stuff, I wanted people to either agree or if they disagree, they'll just disagree, right? Not to, attack you. Like let's say you see something and then you respond back to it and then someone stuff like with your mom, something like that. I'm like, that has nothing to do with what I just commented. Now you're just attacking me for no reason.
I definitely started scrolling more in COVID and I had to really pull myself back and do like a reset like last year and like set time limits for apps and stuff like that. And then I'm also pretty engaged with politics. So I think that has made me check the news out more, for example, and watch more political streamers and political content.
Definitely just made me more cautious for sure. I'm a musician, so I post a lot of my work like on Instagram or TikTok, that sort of thing. People can be brutal, especially even like being a woman. I think that like people are not afraid to start like picking apart your appearance, picking apart your talent, saying like, oh, she doesn't really know what she's doing. You never know what people are going to say, what they're going to do, that sort of thing.
I'm a lot more picky, I would say. Like if I see something I don't like, I will just like block it or like click uninterested. Not because I was offended by seeing it, but mainly I don't want other people to see my account and see that this is what's associated with my account, because people can see your entire life online. So whatever you put online, it's there forever.
I will rarely comment anything, especially regarding like my opinions on certain topics going on around the world. I don't want people to like respond to my comment with their own personal opinion and all of that, because people can be so rude, so disrespectful on social media. They can like try to track you down. They can take all the information that you might have like in your bio.
I like to follow like certain creators, those who are like trying to push a positive message.
I don't know if it's affected the way I use the internet. I think it's kind of affected my outlook of the internet. Either way, I'd just be like doom scrolling and like I'd be uploading what I want to upload.
Me personally, I don't think so. At this point, I'm just like on it for YouTube or interacting with friends online.
I just use social media to talk to my friends and look at dumb stuff. I've never once deleted a social media platform because I felt like it was too negative. But that could just be because I'm not in that sphere where people are constantly, shit talking each other, part of my language. I will say one thing, I have gotten off Twitter. That is the one social media thing that I don't use, mainly because none of my friends use it. I've seen what people are saying on that platform and I just don't relate to it.
I definitely try and avoid like negative spots on the internet. There's no avoiding it. It's everywhere.
Dude, I get mad. My phone is a machine that makes me angry. I go on there and I get upset. It's addicting too, especially the politics really gets me. I try to use my phone less, but it's so hard when, there's just so much. I don't argue with people though. I'd never comment on anything because that's just, you're asking for trouble.
Do you believe in like the dead internet theory where there's like a lot more fake interactions, a lot more bots, a lot more AI, especially now?
Definitely, especially like when it comes to like music, for example, people having like fake streams or like people's Instagrams have like 10,000 followers and you go to their following list, it's a bunch of like, you tell they're like fake accounts.
I would say so. I don't think it's as like massive, like you're the only real person online and everybody else is fake. But I definitely think there's like an increase of bots and like scam accounts there to incite like certain conversation, maybe like retention on the app, and just keep you just coming back and coming back, come back.
I'm going to be honest, I'm kind of gullible and a little bit naive when it comes to those things. So like, I like to believe that a lot of my interactions online are genuine. I have found like genuine community online, like in different spaces, like in different people. So it's sad to think that like a lot of those interactions might not be genuine. I have hope for the internet. I think that there's a lot of crap on the internet, but it can be used for good for the most part.
I've seen the power of AI. I work in science, chemical research, and data science research. When you're up front like that, seeing AI being used for like world-changing things, medical or like plane landings and stuff, it's all automated by AI now. It's scary to see what AI can do. You never know if what you're looking at is real at all. We are evolving AI every single day, and I think AI is one of the most powerful tools that can change the world. It can be like used for deceit and like lies on the internet, which is unfortunate. But overall, I do think AI has had a more positive impact. But in terms of like the internet, yeah, maybe not so much.
I don't think that everybody on the internet is a bunch of AI or bots. At least for the most part, it feels like you're talking to regular, actual people instead of bots. But it could definitely be true, especially nowadays with the increase in AI. You definitely see a lot. People are just talking to AI bots. Some people talk to AI about like their feelings and stuff and act like a pseudo therapist. So I don't think we're at the point where everything's there, but I think it could be possible.
I do believe that it's real, like it's a real thing, because when you open up like the comment section on internet posts and internet videos, all you see is like a bunch of random blubber from like, as you would deem like bots. You just feel the vibe that it's there, that it's not like a real human interaction, you know?
Every now and then I'll like see a notification on Facebook of like my family texting me or something, and then I'll accidentally click the reels and it's just like AI generated Jesus with like millions of comments being like amen. So I mean, definitely a problem.
The use of AI has definitely grown over the years, but I wouldn't really say like the internet as a whole is like not human like. As far as like, I don't know, things like finding a job or whatever, yeah, that's definitely like AI driven now.
The amount of misinformation has consistently risen because people are starting to just look at these stories and believe that they're true. There was a well-known sports publication that used AI for an entire story, and there was a massive backlash at that. People lately have begun to trust technology a bit much to the point where they're not doing their own research and stuff, and then they're just believing what they see. Yes, there probably is some bots and some AI that are, publishing stuff on the internet, but I would say over time, I feel like it would be more people that have been posting on internet and social media, because I feel like a massive wave that has come over, especially with our generation and generations that are going to follow us. I feel like a ton of people want to be content creators, massively following, streamers such as Kai Cenat. We have a ton of people following Speed as well. I feel like people want to be those people on the internet, and they want to push their own content onto, these platforms and want people to watch them. I would actually go against that theory, and I believe that hopefully people are going to post their more original content instead of just stuff that they can easily do through bots or AI.
There's definitely some evidence of a lot of bots online, especially on YouTube. I've seen a lot of spam comments. Subscribe to my channel, they'll like spam the same thing in every comment section of like popular YouTubers. But there's also more subtle things, comments that are spreading certain agendas, whatever political party they may be affiliated with. It's kind of taken the power away from the people and putting it more towards like whoever has the most resources to spam out these comments and these videos and stuff.
I'll be online and I'll see comments and I'll read the whole thing, and then somebody will be like, this is obviously AI, and I'm like, I didn't catch that. AI photos, I think I catch a lot of them, but the ones I don't catch, I don't know that I miss. My grandmother, she doesn't know about any of that. And my mom, they don't know about this stuff. They don't have the tools to identify that stuff. Spaces that older folks are in, you get way more of that. I don't know if there's a solution coming for that.
Do you feel like there could be something good emerging from this era, though? Do you feel like creativity, positivity, originality, do you think that could be coming back?
The growth of indie movies and indie film studios shows people are kind of craving more authentic experiences by smaller creators. I'm pretty sure the statistic is that there's higher watch time on YouTube on the TV now than Netflix on the TV. So people are watching YouTube a lot more from smaller creators, smaller content creators, and TikTok a lot more from individual creators rather than these big media corporations, which I think is a good thing. I think we should promote human creativity.
I think it's just all about like where you spend your time in terms of finding that. It's definitely all out there. You just have to be a little bit more intentional with what you're searching for.
It might just be like the generation that kind of started with TikTok kind of like growing up in a sense. Like they are starting to value originality and value people that are different. I think that that's really important. I would say that there is more of a push towards uniqueness being celebrated.
I see a lot of people trying to create these groups like promoting positivity and acceptance and all that. I hope one day it becomes the majority because right now it is not. But I do think we're in the right direction in terms, because one thing I see, if there's a bully online, multiple huge content creators, like they attack this guy and they're like, no, this isn't good, guys, don't support him. Making fun of somebody on the internet is now just social suicide.
The creativity has always been on the internet. People are always making cool stuff. There's always people trying to support each other online. We might see a shift where it flips back to possibly being positivity that you see more often than the negative stuff, but I feel like negative stuff is usually what people sensationalize, so you end up just seeing more of that.
I believe that there already is and there always has been. People have to like look for it, and it has to be something that they're also like willing to spread, because I feel like more often than not, people mostly like spread the negative stuff, but I feel like people have to be more willing to spread the positive stuff, you know? Because it's there.
100%. I feel like, especially with like all the negativity in the world, like I feel like people have noticed it at the same time and use that to make their own image as well. Like it's something that's only going up from here.
I'd like to think so. Yeah, I would definitely want like some kind of like counter of all this to get it back to where it used to be like 10, 15 years ago.
I'd say so, especially ever since COVID has happened. I feel like that was a major pushing point of people getting back into the flow of wanting to be more active on social media platforms and wanting to post their own stuff. For an example, my brother took up a massive interest in doing YouTube stuff whenever COVID came around, and he's still doing it to this day. Pushed him into wanting to do what he's doing now, which is actually game dev, and he's actually making his own video games using his completely own original ideas to do that. So I believe there's going to be a massive push towards creativity, and I hope that people use the tools to push their own creativity instead of just using the tools to do the entire thing.
I feel like we're kind of bouncing back. Ever since that Superman movie came out, there's been a lot of people hope posting. My hopes are up.
I do. I mean, I just said a lot of negative things, but I really consider myself like a strong optimist. I try to spend time in online spaces that are like that. For a long time, I've followed like the Green Brothers, Hank and John Green, and like their sort of community, and I think that's a really central like source of optimism for people, especially politically. But like I think overall, I don't think being cynical is in fashion anymore. People are done with the, you know, like I have depression and that's the whole joke. Like I think there's a lot more people looking to find joy wherever they can, maybe because they don't have it in other places, but I do think there's a lot of that. I just don't think that that sells as well as outrage does. You know, I don't think that spreads as easily. It's an uphill battle.
And just any advice to the younger generation now growing up with the internet at such an early age now?
Don't be on the internet at a young age. Wait till you're older. Young people should stay outside like how we used to be. And then maybe when you're older, because like I see like 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds be on Instagram pages or have a Twitter or Facebook. I'm just like, that's not for young kids.
Yeah, there's no more like spaces for kids on the internet.
Unfortunately, no.
I think the best advice would be to limit your internet usage. 30 minutes per day on each social media app you use. Because at that point, you kind of like get all the entertainment and news you want, and you don't get the slop, you know? It's kind of when eating like a chocolate cake. Like the first slice of chocolate cake is really good, but second or third slice kind of stays like mush. It's same with social media. You personally will get a worse experience on social media for scrolling for hours. Go outside more, actually touch grass, spend time with friends, try other forms of media. I did that, and I've done it for about 1.5 years now. And since then, I've been reading way more books.
Take frequent breaks, I would say. Put a timer on your apps. Only use it for an hour a day, 2 hours a day.
To not take it seriously, because there's so many crazy people on the internet. There's good communities, there's good people, like good conversations happening, like use the internet for good. But also like it's like a mask that they hide behind. So they're not as afraid to say mean things or to criticize or to judge or to put down. So I would just say don't take it seriously. Stay safe. Don't believe everything you see. And like touch grass. Don't stay on the internet all day long. It's important to live your actual life and not just through the eyes of how everyone online is seeing it. My mom had like a flip phone growing up, and we didn't have like frequent access to the internet till I was like really in school and stuff. So I couldn't imagine like being born and like being like 3 years old and already having like an iPad in my face. Like that sounds so wild to me.
Go outside, go play a sport. Go play some music. Don't like brain rot yourself with Instagram Reels like I do now. It's all just in the roots. For our generation, the internet was so easily accessible. Just like cigarettes were for our parents' generation, the internet's no different. So better yourself, you know, keep yourself healthy and not fry your dopamine receptors with the screen.
Probably not to start using social media at such a young age. I feel like a lot of people generally, they let it affect their viewpoints on life and just sort of what they see to be reality. And I feel like that definitely affects kids a lot more than someone older in their 20s, 30s, 40s.
What you post on the internet definitely does stay on the internet. Somebody will always remember it, and just remember that it can follow you around and it can affect where you get into in regards to like jobs or schools. So I would say be very, very cautious of any content that you're uploading, even liking, even commenting on. Be very, very careful of that because it can follow you around and it could mess up like future opportunities.
Stop crashing out, bruh. I promise you, you're not tough. Be nice to one another. There's too much hatred to even afford anymore. You never know, like, who could be next to you. Like, you don't know what they're going through.
When I have kids, I would like very much make sure that they don't have like a Twitter account or like Instagram or any sort of thing until they're like fully developed, because I've seen so many things, 12 and 13-year-olds, and I'm like, dog, what are you doing?
Don't talk to random strangers on the internet, especially if like they're adults. Pay attention to what your kids are doing on the internet. If you're trying to like look for a job, don't use Indeed, don't use ZipRecruiter, don't use any of those job searching websites. It's a waste of time. It's not humans reading your application anymore. It's all AI.
I'd say be careful with what you put on the internet and who influences you. A ton of people are being influenced by streamers, YouTube creators, and there was a massive point probably like a year or two ago. I'll throw the name out there, Andrew Tate. The amount of younger generation people who actually started to believe what he was saying and use that as their own ideals was scary. I was scared that if he remained on platforms, there would be a massive influence on younger generations that I thought was really unhealthy. Don't let influencers become your entire personality. Be who you want to be. You're your own person, and that's great. Always double check information that you see on the internet, especially now with AI and, as you said, bots being able to push out content like that. Just take the initiative to say, is that actually true? Let me go check on another source. By doing that, you can lessen the spread of misinformation that's being pushed around and just overall be a healthier consumer of news and social media stuff. So, yeah.
When you're younger, you should definitely be limited like to the amount of time that you use the internet. If you're a parent, you know, make sure your kid's not on the internet for too long as a kid. It can really mess some kids up.
Touch grass. I grew up very online and I had these weird opinions about things and people. And it wasn't until I started talking to the people around me more and I started interacting with more kinds of people that I was like, what was I on about? I think especially you see that in like incel, like manosphere type things, where I do think those people get really put into those boxes and it's hard for them to get out. But at the same time, I think if you feel that way and you take the time to sort of look around a little bit more and be a little more in person, you'll see that a lot of what you see people complaining about online just isn't true or isn't represented properly. You really need to stay grounded. If you're online all the time, you're missing the important part. That's what I think.